Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening live to the Angel Rock on UFO Paranormal Radio Network, otherwise known as United Public Radio Network, or we like to call it just UPRN, to the Angel Rock. And my name is Lorilei Potvin. I'm obviously one of the hosts here of the Angel Rock, as well as I have a secondary show here on Thursday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. Sorry, I'm trying to get my computer straight here, guys. Hope I'm not crooked. Anyways, sorry, it's 7 to 9 p.m. with my good friend and very talented medium and angel channel, David Hansel. And just a few housekeeping things before we get started. I see Cindy Simpson there. Hello, welcome. So, if you want to be part of the conversation, 80% of our global audience, and yes, UPRN does broadcast to every country in the world. We've been around for 25 plus years. We broadcast numerous shows 7 days a week. And when we're not broadcasting live, the archive server randomly picks shows from the last 25 plus years. And there really is something for everybody here. We always have new hosts and new shows joining the network. And if you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. But if you want to join the conversation, we have Nicole Thomas Ryan, we have Kathy Hanley Little. And so if you want to join the conversation, like I say, here's how you do it, because I will let you know that this show and the thing at the foot of the bed, both of my shows are very audience participative, and especially this evening, because we had a guest cancellation. I'll get to that in just a minute. So where you're going to go is to UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio on Facebook and YouTube. I've just streamed the show to my public profile on Facebook. I'm also streaming on my YouTube channel, which is The Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. I am streaming on Instagram under The Angel Rock. Just so you know, if you find me over on the Instagram profile and I don't say hi or acknowledge you right away, it's not because I'm ignoring you. Instagram is one of the newer platforms, StreamYard, which is what we use to come to you live. They don't integrate the conversation here with the rest of the comments from the other platforms. So I'm going to hop over back and forth and try and acknowledge you. But if you'd like to join us, the easiest place is usually on YouTube. So you can check that out. We're also in Canada's Most Haunted. Where else are we? God, I have a whole bunch of different platforms, but I don't want to forget to tell you too that this network has its own TV channel. So it's on Roku, and how you find it, you're going to go to the channel store and type in UFO space P as in paranormal. And there's a drop-down list. You're looking for about the third or fourth one down, and you're looking for UFO space paranormal and United Public Radio. That's our channel. The show is streaming there tonight, as well as many of the hosts on this network stream their shows there as well. So check it out. You can watch us on your TV. We also have Z Sun Dragon. Hello, or I just call him Kevin. That's his muggle name. So what else did I want to tell you guys? I always forget something, but the one thing I do want to do, I don't want to forget to tell you guys, I want to promote this because the people responsible for what's coming, I'm about to say, they're from Thunder Bay, where I live in Canada. I guess I should tell you a little bit more about myself too, first, before I get to this. I am a Canadian psychic medium. I'm a crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, a spiritual teacher and mentor. I am also, what else am I? A budding animal communicator. I'm well versed in near-death experiences, having studied them for over 40 years professionally and personally. I had one as a toddler, as well as a budding animal communicator. So I'm going to remind you guys too, I do a lot of guest spots on other shows. We just had a great show on the Rift Nation Network with Howie O'Dell and with Rhonda. Rhonda's going to be coming on the Angel Rock this summer, so I'm excited to have her. We've had Howie before, and we did I think it was called Forbidden Doorways #2, and we'll have to plan a third. Got into some interesting topics last night, but I'm also going to be joining two good friends of mine. They're both hosts of Broadcast Team Alpha with Augie Nost. He's been on the Angel Rock numerous times. Nori, I think I've had on a few times here. Nori Love, his co-host. But we are having, or I should say they are, having a panel about angels and the power of angels. And there's a whole bunch of us on there. That's coming tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And you can find that the easiest way is on YouTube if you look up Broadcast Team Alpha. So I'd love to see you there tomorrow night. Oh, that's okay, Kathy. I think if you check out she said, sorry, I missed that yesterday. There's, I think on the Riff Nation Network on Facebook, or at least on YouTube, I believe they have a replay of the show. So you can always watch that if that's something you'd like to see. But Lucky Paranormal, who is from Thunder Bay, is hosting a very exciting event in our city. You guys have heard me say many times, even though I don't live in a huge city, I live in Northwestern Ontario, Canada. It's called Thunder Bay, and we are about 35 to 40 minutes away from the Minnesota border with our brothers and sisters in the United States. But you have to come through Thunder Bay. If you're going from the east to the west or the west to the east, when you're going through Canada, because we are right along the high. Well, you can't miss us. You have to stop through here. That's the only reason why we get a lot of big bands and big name entertainers are coming through here anyways, if they're touring. Or if you're going to the United States, but you don't want to drive around the Great Lakes, say through the US way, you'll have to come through Thunder Bay to go through on the Canadian side. So anyways, come hang out with us in Thunder Bay this October 4th to 6th in 2024 for the Lake Superior Paranormal Convention. Tickets are now available. There's VIP Plus, Supernatural, and VIP Pass tickets, but they are limited. There will be talks, workshops, paranormal investigation, and vendors. Guest speakers will include Shane Pittman, Jeff Belanger, our own Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, and don't forget her tomorrow night. You know I love her. I talk about her lots. Lots of times she pops in here. She has Spirit Switchboard from 6 to 8 p.m. tomorrow night Eastern Standard Time. She always has great guests, great show. She's a paranormal investigator, extremely gifted medium, very intuitive, and just an all-around amazingly lovely soul. So she's coming here. So I'm going to get to meet her in person finally. So she's coming here. She's going to be giving messages from Spirit on Sunday for a special event called Spirits and Sweets. The travel channels Beyond the Haunting, they're coming up. Dean McCauley, he's been on the Angel Rock once before, and I do know him personally. He is from around this area. He's about an hour outside of Thunder Bay. He's going to be speaking. The Winnipeg Paranormal Group's going to be coming, and I'm going to be speaking there, and I'm also going to have a table. So I've been busy working on all kinds of things, such as I just finished this weekend. It was time. What did I drop out of here? Something. Anyways, I just finished this. I don't know how many of them I'll get, but it's actually a book. Oh, I'm going to turn it the other way. It's actually a book, and it looks like an apothecary shelf. So this will be a cool thing. I think I might even make smaller versions of it, but I'm making all kinds of Halloween stuff because it's going to be just around spooky season. So, and this is, like I said, is being put on by Lucky Paranormal. Now, how you can find tickets for that, if you look up lakesuperiorparacon.com, and we would love to have you join us up here. It's absolutely beautiful here year round, except right now I'm not too happy with it because we are in a winter storm warning since yesterday. We had no snow on the weekend. I was in a t-shirt, could have been wearing shorts. We had no snow. Well, it's back and it's still snowing. So we've got Nicole, who says October 5th is her birthday. She wishes she could come. I wish you could come too. I don't know if they're going to be streaming it online. I'll probably find out more because Lucky Paranormal will be coming on in April on the Angel Rock. So we'll find out more about that. But I hope they do, because there's a lot of people who might not be able to make it here. Excuse me as I wipe my nose, speaking of snow. So I don't know if they will or not. We'll have to ask them if they have the capabilities for that. And we got Carol Amario here. And I want to apologize. I have booked this guest twice. And the first time they said they were unwell, and I can understand that. And then I did message them. They're across from the pond. I work with a publishing agent over across the pond in Wales, and he sends me the most incredible guests. But for some reason, this person decided they weren't well enough to come on tonight. So that's why you're stuck with me. But sometimes I like doing shows on my own because I get to hang out with all of you. So that's what we're doing tonight. And I was thinking about some of the topics we were talking about. Excuse me for 1 minute. I'm going to grab a quick drink. One of the topics we were talking about briefly on Howie's show last night and Rhonda's show was, are vampires real? And I was thinking about this because I was doing a bit of research, as I usually do, and looked at Nuke's top 5. I actually watched Paranormal Nightmare. They had a live session today, but it's just to catch up and hang out and say hi. He was Josh, one of the Foreman brothers. He was hanging around with his dog Duke, or Dookie as he calls him, and they were waiting for his youngest daughter to pick up from school. So he was just checking in with his audience. He didn't have too much haunted to report. They've got some really cool investigations coming up. As you guys know, I love Paranormal Nightmare. There won't be an episode. They're going to 3 episodes a month live, like regular episodes that they filmed. And then the last week, they usually take the Friday off, because usually on Fridays, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I will watch it because it makes my Friday. But they've got some cool investigations coming up. One of them is going to be with another channel I like that I usually watch after the Angel Rock is done, and it'll be on at 9 o'clock usually. And that's the Paranormal Files with Colin Brown and his brother-in-law Connor, and sometimes his dad joins him, Jeff. So they actually did an investigation together. So this should be pretty interesting, the collaboration. And Josh was talking about one of the investigations that they filmed last weekend, where the spirit was so intelligent in this family haunting. They said they carried on a conversation via the spirit box for 2 hours. Now, the episode obviously won't be 2 hours long, but it should be pretty interesting to see what's coming up. So we've got Julie Evans here. She says, evening. And Kevin, Z-Sun Dragon, he's out east in Canada. He said, we got our snow a few days ago and high winds and drifts. Next day, just finished clearing your veranda and steps off today. And sun today, rain by tomorrow night until Saturday, then possible snow again. Well, I'm sorry about that. Well, you're probably getting our snow because the jet stream goes from the west to the east and you're out east. We haven't had hardly any snow here. Like almost nothing. It has been one of the warmest, mildest winters I can ever remember. And I've lived here my whole life in this city. So that's why to get snow at this time of year, it's like, really? But usually if we're going to get a big snowstorm, and I think it's Mother Nature just reminding us that she has a sense of humor, we usually invariably get it very close to April Fool's Day. So I guess Mother Nature was a little early this year. So back to the vampires. Hi, Jackson Davis. I see you if you're still there, and I'm not ignoring you. If you can, pop over to YouTube, either the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin or UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio on YouTube, and you can join the conversation. We'd love to have you here. And Kevin says, same here, mildest winter. Definitely. And a lot of people, though, that have warm weather were saying that they actually had a cooler winter this year. So very intriguing to hear that. So the vampires, I was thinking about this, and I took a look at Nuke's top 5, which is another one I like to look at. And the reason why I do is because people send these video clips in, and the narrator, or the owner of the channel, the creator, he never tells you what to think. He just tells you, he'll ask you, is it all an elaborate hoax? You decide. I'm still here if I go black, guys. So I was just switching my cord so it doesn't unplug. So my thing is that I looked at that and then I thought, I wonder if Bizarre Bob has anything. And they do. So I checked it out. Now we can go through a few of these clips, but I want to show you guys this clip because part of the discussion was, and I respect everybody's point of view because I don't think any of us all really know, truthfully, whether or not something is actually going to happen or not. We don't. Sorry, my capitals here are deciding to go in here, of course. There we go. None of us know the truth. I always say we're not really going to know the whole truth until we go back home ourselves. But my thoughts always are, just because I haven't seen it, just because I haven't experienced it, or just because I haven't witnessed it, does not mean it doesn't exist. And some of the strangest things I have seen have just myself, I wouldn't have believed it had I not been there myself. I'm talking about, say, 10 or probably 20 years ago, someone had told me some of this stuff. Now, a healthy dose of skepticism is always important, I think, when we're talking about the paranormal. But I also think we have to be open-minded. And again, my school of thought is if something has existed through time, like vampires and werewolves and giants, which we are now seeing and hearing more and more tales of people talking about or catching on camera, giants, not Bigfoot, giants, actual giants. I think there has to be some speck of truth in it for it to persist, because even if it was a fake tale or a story somebody made way back in time, it still wouldn't be here today. It just wouldn't. Something has to exist with it, I think, for people to still be talking about it. And again, it could be like the game of telephone, if you've heard of that, where there's a big circle of people. One person starts with a word, whispers it to the next person in their ear, and they go around the circle. And invariably, by the time you get to the last person, usually the word that was initially shared, the last person is usually quite off from what the initial word was. But there has to be something to it. And what I'm going to show you, this clip, it's not that it has to do with vampires, but it's something that shouldn't exist. And we've heard it before. And of course, we're going to get people that are skeptical. And I have to agree, in this day and age with AI and deep fakes and what have you, anything is possible when it comes to filming something nowadays, unfortunately. I'm just going to read a few of your comments before we head over to this video clip. Hang on. Wayne Marrow. I think I know that name. Okay, I'll read that in a minute, Kathy. So Carol Mario is waving, and Nicole says, thoughts. I was watching the paranormal nightmare of the demonic infestation that I shared. Yes, I did share that too. I remember sharing it. And my husband says, why don't they just bless the place first instead of the whole investigation process and then the blessing? I wasn't sure about how to answer that. Okay, let's go there first. The reason why, and I shared the initial episode, and what Nicole is referring to, Paranormal Nightmare, last week, did an update on a case they did about 7 months ago. They named Demonic Infestation. And it was with this woman named Cheryl. And they kept going on about how dangerous it was for them to be in there. And at first I'm thinking, well, why are you going? It was physically dangerous for them. This woman's ex was on the run, had unalived her son, apparently had unalived the life of her daughter somehow previously, and was threatening her own life. And it was in a very dangerous area of a city they were going to help her. So what they did was they gave her a blessing, they left, and they came back. Now, the reason why, and if this makes sense to y'all, and please throw your 2 cents worth in, with anything, I think that when we're dealing with the unknown, you should go in and take an assessment. Never mind just a history, right? We want to take people at face value, but you also want to see, what are we experiencing? What are we seeing? What's happening in here? So part of the reason why Paranormal Nightmare, I believe, does things the way they do, because they usually treat anything with respect. Even if they think that it's negative, they're still respectful. But they want to see, what are we experiencing? What are we feeling? Are we physically being touched? What are we hearing? What are we seeing? What are we feeling energetically? Right? And they also give the spirit the opportunity, if you have a message for someone as to why maybe you're still here, why you're scaring the family in a family haunting, because they don't go clear public places. I know they don't. They just go to document the paranormal. But they do go if a family reaches out and needs help. And, obviously they're going to speak to them and see what kind of evidence they've captured and what have you. Then they will go and help them. But that would be like just barging in there and blessing the house and saying, okay, get out. You don't even really know what you're dealing with. And you're going to find people. There's a lot of people that'll say demons don't exist. I always say, let's just call it semantics. Living on earth here, we can't have one without the other. Even when you look at angels, and there's not just angels and archangels, the level that's been documented is 7 different levels of angels. And when you look you will find the exact matching opposite within the demonic realm if you look at it. So if you don't want to call it a demon, there is negative, there's evil. I can tell you, I have experienced it living in my previous home, the way it started. And I've said this many times on the show. Sorry, guys, sorry back today with the weather. So if I'm squirming, I apologize. Not in pain, just got to move. Anyways, it all started for me 16 years ago or so with a dream that's like it happened 10 minutes ago. We shared our story on the Travel Channel's Paranormal Survivor, Season 4. It's Episode 9. It's called Demonic Hauntings. And Michelle DeRoche, who has Outer Realm here and is our network station manager, I know her well. I never spoke to her. She consulted on our episode. Didn't know her then, never spoke to her before. But I think that living on this planet, we have good, we have bad, we have light, we have dark, we have hot, we have cold. So I find it very difficult to say that there's angels and positive, loving spirits, which there are. Without you can't have one without the other. Sorry, my watch keeps dinging on me here. Sorry, I apologize. So I believe there is evil. Like I said, this dream I had, there was a man sitting in the tree in my front yard and saying, "Hello, Lorilei." And I had a little business at the time. I was married to my first husband still. And I made little pet accessories and stuff and jewelry. And the day before, I'd gone out and, gone to some local businesses and got chatting with the owners. And everybody kept offering to sell my merchandise, but they didn't want any compensation for it. They were just going to sell it in their store space for me for free and then give me the money. And my husband and I at the time had been watching that week when The Secret came out, that movie, The Secret. At first, it was a book. And I remember coming home, I was utterly shocked before the night before, would have been earlier in the day before I had the dream. And I had said to my husband, the first husband I had said, this is so weird. Like, I can't believe everybody wants to sell the things I make and they don't want any compensation or anything for it. And we both started laughing because he had said, well, maybe it's The Secret, thinking it was that. And then I had this dream later on in the night and man sitting in my tree and basically saying, hello, Lorilei, you see that little business that you have? That's nothing. I can offer you wealth. I can offer you fame. I can offer you anything beyond your wildest dreams. All you have to do is agree to follow me. And in my dream, it's not radio friendly or YouTube friendly what I told this thing to do. And I'm shortening the story. But anyways, he then started laughing at me. And I said to him, who are you? And he said, I'm a demon. And he gave me his name and he spelt it for me. And again, I told him where to go. There was no way I was agreeing, thank God, in a dream, because we don't always control what we do in a dream. But I knew, I guess, well enough in this dream, and I'm going to call it a lucid dream, if you will. And I told him where to go, and he started wagging his finger at me in the dream, saying, oh, no, 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 no. Every time you see a crow or a raven, you're going to know who it is. And then I woke up. I called on Archangel Michael before I woke up. There was a brilliant flash of royal blue, silver, and white. And I woke up crying, shaking, and completely covered in sweat. Now, I'm not a crier. I don't rattle too easily. And all heck kind of broke loose in my house. Now, was I looking for the paranormal? No. I specifically wanted nothing to do with the negative. I had started getting into angel cards, and only because they were positive and there was nothing negative with it. And that kind of opened the doorway. So do they exist? Yes, I think they exist. I've kind of gotten off topic a little bit here, Nicole, as I keep talking. But my whole point is, it makes sense, right, from watching from the outside. Like, well, if you know there's a problem, why don't you just go in there and bless the house and be done with it? Well, they do have a TV show, first of all. But second of all, and I don't think they care whether it's a TV show or not, it's just evolved into that, is they care about families and what's happening. And if you've seen this woman in the demonic infestation case, and what they did was they did an update 7 months later. This woman, Cheryl, And it really touched a lot of people watching what she was going through. There was a lot of activity in that house. There was a lot of stuff that went on. They did cleanse the house, and they usually try to do a follow-up. And they'll be honest with you, if things haven't stopped, they'll tell you at the update at the end of the episode that, you know, it's the case is still ongoing. But Josh did keep in touch with the Cheryl, and every now and then during an episode every Friday on YouTube, he would let us know, you know, I've been in touch with Cheryl and so, you know, this is what's going on. Anyways, when you see her in this update, she doesn't even look the same. And then he gets into explaining to her in this update about the different stages of what happens with demonic possession, if you will, and the stages. He talked about infestation, and he said there were 4 stages and where he thought Cheryl had been at. But when they had left, she lived alone, and she was kind of a perfect candidate for something like that. You've lost your children. You've been in a very abusive relationship. You live alone. You've just lost your father on top of that. You're very sad. You're grieving. You're in a state of depression, low income. Like everything that was kind of going wrong could have gone wrong with this poor Cheryl. And it touched a lot of people's hearts. A lot of people were praying for her. And she kept communicating with these spirits. And it was really inside of her head. And so when they left in the first episode, she wasn't going to use a Ouija board anymore. She wasn't going to use spirit boxes. She was going to cut off all communication. They went back because she was back doing this, because the activity had started again, she said. But I believe the reason why the activity started was because she started dabbling with these things and kind of opening the doorway again. So without pointing a finger, but I love the way they handled it, because they didn't go through and do a full cleansing again. And I love Josh was really sensitive with her, but they didn't do another cleansing because it was becoming very apparent that Cheryl was thinking just the Foreman brothers were the only people that could help her and save her. And he explains it in the episode that this is why they didn't do it like the last time. So I'm going to go through the comments. I'm not sure if that answered things. I know it was a really long answer, Nicole, but so Julie Evans says, I agree. Kathy Hanley Little, that's what you're saying. You should check out Wayne Marrow, author of books on vampires. I have a feeling I know who this is. I'm going to check him out as I'm talking to you guys right now, because if it is who I think it is, we will see. Wayne Marrow. Let's see. Nope, that's not the one I think it is. I'll have to check him out, because there's another Wayne that writes books about vampires and stuff. Michelle is here. Good day. Nicole said, that was my thoughts. They need to see. And that kind of makes sense, right? Like, Nicole, I can tell from getting to know you a bit that you're a fantastic preschool teacher. But that would kind of like be, without trying to sound facetious or, you know, any sarcasm, that would be like you taking in children to teach in preschool, right? Educate, and not look at them like the whole picture of them. It's just like, okay, they're kids. So they're here to be taught. They're here to be, you know, with preschool, you know, learn the colors, or learn numbers, learn whatever. You kind of got to get a better, bigger picture, no matter what it is that you do. Myself as a nurse walking in and somebody's coming in with diabetes. Well, I know all the hallmark things of diabetes and what to look for and whatever, but we need to know on an individual base what makes it unique, what makes it, you know, and once you have a better idea of the picture, especially when you're dealing with the unknown, I think it gives you more clues and a better idea of what you're dealing with and how you may want to deal with it, if that might help. Because I know they also consult. They have a mentor and a religious person. I'll say, I don't know what her background is, but I know they will consult with her on cases like they dealt with Cheryl. So it gives you a better picture, I think, of what you're dealing with. And it doesn't happen often. But for example, my partner, who I've been with for 15 years in our previous home, he was thrown across the kitchen 15 feet. He didn't even tell me for 2 days. It was in the middle of the night. That's how much of a skeptic he still is, even all the stuff he's been through. he thought he had gotten shocked or something by the fridge. He had his battery tester out and what have you. The reason I realized he had been thrown across the kitchen, his arm was all cut up. And I said, what did you do to your arm? And then he finally told me what had happened. So can it happen? Yeah, it can happen. And this video I'm about to show you, it's not about vampires. It's actually about this creepy doll in a storage unit. Something that shouldn't be possible, including, speaking of people being thrown or moved, in this compilation on Bizarre Bub that we're going to go through a little bit, there's a little one that looks like his legs are being pulled up, picked up, touched. You can't see what's there. And this little guy looks like he's being pulled out of bed. So you see what you guys think. Anything can be faked. Okay, we have to keep that in the back of our minds. But you also got to look at, why would people? Some people will. They think they're going to get rich and famous and become like a certain tight t-shirt wearing gentleman that sort of brought this whole arena of the paranormal in when it comes to TV and stuff. But most people, I think, especially when they're reaching out for help, there are attention seekers, there are, and people that may not tell the truth, but I don't think everybody's like that. So let's see where we're at. Cindy Simpson. That's a very vivid dream vision. Do you think of what do I think of crows when you see them now? That's so funny, because as I was telling that story, Cindy, I was thinking, oh, I should tell people what I think about crows. I don't think anything about crows. I think they're very intelligent. I think they're sweet. But I did have some very unique hallmark things that happened with crows in that previous home. Every morning with our security cameras, and that was a weird thing. Everything broke in that house. I have things that I think I went through 13 tires, and not driving over bad things, just would wake up in the morning, tire would be, it was always on my van, same tire. And we had security cameras. We had the technician come in. We brought them in, the whole bit. They could not find out what was wrong with them. But when the activity started, we could not film, like record on the security cameras. So we had a TV in our room, and the 4 cameras we could see on the monitor. And there's pictures I have where I've had to take a picture off the monitor because they would not record. I mean, if I had my phone in the moment, I guess I could have recorded it, but it was just easier if I could see it on the camera to take a picture. So when it comes to crows, the reason why I mention that, every morning, one particular crow, it would go up our front stairs of the previous home, hop up on the railing. The camera was right above, and it would look into the camera with the most creepiest look. And then when the activity would get really bad, we would have like 30, 40 crows right in that one tree where I originally had the dream. Do I think crows are bad? No. It's the same thing. I mentioned this, I think, with on the thing at the foot of the bed. I think, well, let's put it this way. I think spirits give me this for a reason. You guys hear me say this lots. What we perceive becomes what we believe, and it becomes our reality. So for me, 1111 is a powerful, incredible number. And then a few years back, quite a few years actually, I ran into somebody that told me how evil the number 1111 is, and it's wicked, and it's just as bad as 666. And I went, what? I didn't say that. What is this person talking about? And I looked it up. Sure enough, that's your perception. That's what you believe. You can find all kinds of stuff telling you it's evil. So again, even when we get back to the great question that Nicole asked, that her husband had asked, right? It's all about perception. But I think the more information that we have, right, knowledge is empowering. So also when we take an objective look at something and gather information, it gives us more about maybe what we're dealing with. And it doesn't have to be the paranormal. It could be anything. And I always think it's a very good idea to walk into a situation and try and be objective. So I never would talk about people that I work with clientele-wise, but I'm going to show you and tell you something. For example, I haven't forgotten about the vampire comment we started with. I do crystal Reiki, and I was checking chakras. Let me drop something. Anyways, there was a particular chakra, the person I was working with had generally thought, because of physical things they were experiencing, that that chakra should be affected. Now, I wasn't dealing, when I deal with people, it's mind, body, spirit. I'm not just dealing with a physical issue. This particular chakra that was associated with physical issue was perfectly balanced. So we had quite a discussion about that. And then the reason why I said I don't go in with a preconceived notion about somebody when I'm doing, say, clearing their chakras, when I'm doing crystal Reiki, because this very reason. With energy, for example, because I do use a pendulum to do it long distance. Okay, so I can tell this pendulum what to do. I'm going to ask it to swing back and forth. Now I'm going to ask it to stop. Sorry, my fan's blowing. Now I'm going to ask it to turn in circles. Sorry, I'm focusing as if it's quiet. Now I'm going to ask it to stop. My whole point about showing you guys that is, if I went into a preconceived notion and I decided that that person's chakra should be out of alignment because they're having physical issues in that area, how am I helping them if I can manipulate a pendulum to show what I believe it should be? Do you see what I'm saying? And it's not because I'm so special. We are all that powerful, our minds. And once you understand about energy, you could do the same thing. So that's why I think it's good to go in and take an assessment, get information, and know what you're dealing with. So I'm going to go back. Michelle says crows are very smart. And Kevin says, aren't crows messengers of sorts? I think they warn us of intensive events at times. They can. Again, I think what we perceive becomes what we believe, and it becomes our reality. So if we take, I'll just use the name Kevin. I'll use Kevin. I'm not speaking of you particularly, these on Dragon, but Kevin believes that crows are messengers. He believes they're harbingers of death. Not you, Kevin. Just we're taking a gentleman named Kevin. So every time he sees a crow, he believes somebody around him is going to die. And maybe it happens once. And now he really believes that. Now, can he cause somebody to die? No. But do you see where I'm going with this? So what we perceive becomes what we believe, and it becomes our reality. And it's crazy how life works that way, but it's true. So no, I'm open-minded about crows. I love animals. I don't necessarily assume any animal is evil. You could say that snakes are evil, and they're serpents, and they're symbols of death, and they're symbols, not death, sorry, evil, and what have you, right? So I think it's just as a suggestion, or maybe how I prefer to live life is, even when, let's take this for example. We've all been there. We all know people who love to gossip and talk about people. And so say I have a mutual friend with someone, or I haven't met them yet, for example, yet. And the person tells me how awful this person is. They're evil. They're this, they're that. I may take that information and put it up what I call my proverbial back shelf in the back of my mind. But for me, I'd like to meet that person myself and see exactly what my experience is, not assume that that person is nasty and horrible and just the worst person on the planet because someone's always told me that. I like to go in kind of with a clean slate, keep an open mind, and it's kind of how I try to be with the paranormal. So I try not to make statements about this can't happen or this can't exist, because just because I haven't seen it or I haven't experienced it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Same as when people are telling their stories of experience, say with negative entities. I can't say to them it doesn't exist or it hasn't happened or you're full of it, because just because I didn't have that experience doesn't mean that wasn't their experience. And for me to say that, and having a platform, it's not huge, but having a platform, I think I have a responsibility not to say to somebody that doesn't exist. It couldn't be possible. It just didn't happen for me. It doesn't mean it's never not going to happen in my lifetime. And it doesn't mean it didn't happen to them. So I don't want to negate anybody's experience, if that makes sense. Oh, Michelle, you want me to ask it to go backwards? Okay, so sorry, she's asking me about the pendulum. So people that are listening, what I was showing them was, and I forget that people are listening, not just watching, with a pendulum, when I focus on it, I can tell it what to do as I'm focusing on it. And the first time, I think I did that on a podcast a few years back, and people because we were talking about energy. And it wasn't this show, it wasn't this network. I was a guest on someone's show, and people were going in the comments, oh my God, she's a witch. And she's, again, preconceived notions. I'm not a witch. Nothing wrong with being a witch. I'm not a witch. It's about energy. And no, I'm not special. Anybody could do this. So you want me to make it go backwards. So what do you want me to do? Make it go clockwise? Like that? Or then ask it to stop and go counterclockwise? My fan is blowing this. Okay, stop. Thank you. So you can make it do that. You guys could all do this yourself. You don't have to have a pendulum. If you're wearing a necklace or something, especially that's got your energy in it, I'm telling you, and it may take a little while, and you just focus at it and picture it in your mind doing what you want it to do. And I'm telling you, it will work. It does. And it's not because I'm using magic or spells or anything. If we look at the principles of everything is energy, energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can be transferred from one place to another. We can all do these things. Sometimes it takes a little practice. I have to tell you, the first time I did this, it shocked the heck out of me. And the reason why it did is because my partner showed me this, that he could do this. And I went, no way. And I tried it and I went, oh my God, yeah, you can. So anybody could do this, honestly. Sometimes it takes a little bit of practice. Sorry, I'm going to go up to some of the comments here. I'm way behind. I am going to get to that video we were talking about. So Kevin then said, sorry, I didn't highlight there. Same, love them all, animals too, but feel they have a spiritual connection with us also. Absolutely. Like if I start seeing a particular animal in my field, and actually I probably should look up coyotes, because we usually don't have coyotes around here. And I have seen 2 in the last month. Nobody else has seen them, but I've seen them. So I think most of you may have heard this story. Some of you are new and you haven't. When I first moved into the new place, well, it's not new. We've been here 4.5 years. Hang on, I'm going to grab a drink. First summer we were here, and I was sitting out in the backyard. No, first night I was out for a fresh air break with my partner. Excuse me. He went inside first. Beautiful summer night. It's dark. Nobody's out. He goes inside. Wait, I got that backwards. Let me back up. First night I'm sitting out in the backyard. I do a lot of creative stuff. I made this most beautiful tabletop fireplace, and it had crystals, and it was really pretty. So I had it lit, and it's about 2:00 in the morning, and I'm sitting on a lawn chair and I'm playing on my phone, and I'm not really paying attention. And I feel something licking my baby toe on my left foot. And I go, "Ah, isn't that nice, Emmy?" And Emmy is my dog. And I went, "Oh, Emmy's not outside with me." And I look down. It is a baby skunk licking my baby toe. I launched myself out of the chair, not because I was afraid of it. I didn't know if it was going to spray me. I didn't know what it was going to do. And that stuff's hard to get rid of. So anyways, fine. Week later, that's where it was. I was in the front yard, sitting on the steps with my partner, having a fresh air break. It was about 12:30 at night. He was inside first, and I'm sitting there still. Next thing I know, I notice movement out of the corner of my eye, and I look. That little monkey, it had to be the same skunk. I seen him, and he comes around the corner, and he sees me, and he makes a beeline for me, like beeline, and stops right in front of me. And again, I'm right up in the doorway going, no, don't spray. Don't spray, little dude. Nice to see you again. End of story. He heads off his own way. So I realized, and I think somebody had mentioned it in the chat too, because I shared the story. I took a look at what is the spiritual significance of seeing skunks. I can't remember what the answer is off the top of my head, but lo and behold, he did have a message for me, because when I looked it up, and I didn't just look in one place, I looked in numerous places. The message was very integral to what was going on in my life at that time. So yes, I do believe we have a spiritual connection with dogs, with animals. And I also believe that being able to communicate with animals is everybody's birthright on this planet. I do. So Kathy Henley Little says, had the wrong last name, Wayne Mallows. That's okay, Kathy. I appreciate you sharing him. And then Christina, oh, hi, Christina Lantis. Haven't seen you in a while. She says, my mom used a darning needle and thread as a divination tool. Absolutely. Do you guys ever remember? Maybe you don't, but do any of your grandmothers, if somebody was pregnant, they would hold a needle and a thread and hold it over top of a pregnant woman's belly to tell if they were having a boy or a girl? Same type of divination things. Julie says, agree, re-energy. Michelle says, curious when you ask, so me, yes, and it goes in a way you're not thinking of. I'm not sure. Okay, so are you asking me, what do I ask a pendulum? Is that what you're asking? Or are you asking what do I say, or what am I thinking when it moves? I'll wait to see what you say, because if you're asking me, how do I use it if I want a yes or a no? And Crystal Reiki, it should be up here. Where are you? I have so many pendulums. Oh, you know what? I tucked it away in my box here. Hang on. Because I use with Crystal Reiki, and I need to make a video to show people what's involved with that. This is my favorite. It's called a wand. It's a friend of mine, Derek White Sky Cloud. I'm trying to remember the name of his business. I think it's Métis Artisan or First Class Artisans or something. Look up Derek White Sky Cloud. He makes all kinds of First Nations type tools. No animals are harmed when he makes these. So if an animal has lost their life, you know, hope you don't want it to happen, but say they got hit by a car or whatever, people in his area know that he will use the pieces of the animal that has lost their life. Or with this one, I believe it was a deer that lost their antlers, so it has like a quartz crystal on the end. Because with Crystal Reiki, I use certain symbols, and after I check your chakras, I can either put energy in, take it out. Basically, the goal is to balance your chakras. So I will use this, but I have, where are you? I must have put you in my pendulum box. Anyways, I have just because it's just my preference, I have a pendulum that has, it looks like a chakra pendulum. So it has 7 different colors on it. I know it's up here. I'm probably going to find it after the show. Let me look, because there it is. I use either one of these. I knew it was up here because I just used this. So for people that are listening, it's shaped kind of like a diamond, but 3D diamond, if you will. And it's got 7 colors of the chakras. I'll use this, or I will use this one. And I have a gazillion different pendulums. But before I do a session, I always ask my pendulum to show me what balance looks like. For me, for this one, standing still, I will ask it to show me unbalanced. So it's going to show me a diagonal. Sorry, try and hold it up for you guys. Thank you. And then I'll ask it to show me overbalanced. That was underbalanced, sorry, overbalanced. I would consider that a counterclockwise circle. So that's what it shows me, but I'll read further and see if that's what you were asking, Michelle, or if it was something different. Kevin says, I have 4 main animal totems and 1 magical, but do borrow from other animals at times. Like the wolf is not one of mine, but I know so many that gravitate towards the wolf that I have borrowed the wolf. If Julie Jean Bassett comes in here, she usually does. You guys check her out. She's helped me with 2 of my animals now. I took an animal communication course, and I'm nowhere near the level of animal communication that she is at. But she is also a shamanic practitioner and is very knowledgeable about animal totems and the whole bit about that. So we'll ask her if she pops in here. That's cool that you shared that, Kevin. Christina said, seen a fox this week, and crow's been super loud the last 2 days. So you could actually go outside, say you saw the crows and you notice a difference. I would always ask their permission. You can ask within your head and ask, would you be willing to talk to me? Listen. If you hear a yes, great. If you hear a no, say, okay, thanks. I respect that. If you hear a yes, ask them in your head, why have you been more noisy than usual? Ask them, do you have a message? See what you get. But the thing is, most people, when you are asking within the mind's eye, and if you do hear an answer, a lot of people think, oh, that has to be my imagination. Has to be a coincidence. Has to be whatever. Why not just be open to it and hear what they have to say? You'd be surprised. I'll probably tell you. Oh, and you guys are all laughing about the skunk story. I know. What a crazy story. Carrie Lynn, I was talking about you earlier, girl. Ew, a baby skunk. Love skunks. I know. Oh my gosh, he was so cute. And I wasn't afraid of him. And I know baby skunks usually don't spray because they don't, I mean, it takes a lot to build up their little gland with that, and that's like the last thing they want to do. But still, I didn't know why this dude was so attracted to me that he kept showing up, but he had a message. And Carrie Lynn says small but mighty, and they command respect. Skunks, they sure do. We've got lots of them around here, or lots of them around here. But I know in my previous home, and I had the girls over, I used to have craft night. Very little crafting got done, but sure enough, my dog, it was a little wet, white, west, wait, white, why can I not say this? Highland West, it was a Westie, little white Scotty dogs. I don't know why. West Highland White Terrier. There you go. I knew it would come. Katie, and she was out in the backyard, and we could smell a skunk, and it was so bad we couldn't tell if she got sprayed or not. Not. And at the time, I had a nurse friend that was very high maintenance. Well, I had to hear for weeks that she had to throw out her Coach purse because my dog had been sprayed, and the smell was so bad she just couldn't get it out. And it was like, I didn't spray my dog with the skunk on purpose, and I didn't want to ruin your purse. And Contessa Martin says, I remember that. Okay. And Julie says, yes, definitely when pregnant. Yes, that's when we were talking about grandmothers that used to use a needle on the thread, right, to tell if pregnant, I guess I'm supposed to say person, sorry I said mother, but person, whether or not they were having a boy or a girl, right? Oh, Kasoon is here. Welcome from over in Sri Lanka. And Kevin also says, yes, I recall the needle and thread to see if a boy or a girl in my family as well. See? Now, I knew with both of my boys, I was having boys, but I remember a conversation with my main guide as a 4-year-old. Now, they always told me I would have 3 boys, and I actually lost a baby when I turned 50. I know it's almost impossible to get pregnant at that age, but I did. And when I was working with my mediumship course, a lot of times different students, we would just speak over the phone. We never got to see each other through our mentor. And a lot of them would pick up a little boy around me. So I don't know if that was my 3rd boy or not, but I always was told I'd have 2 boys. And I have 2 crazy stories. One of them, my father, when I was pregnant with my eldest, who's going to be 29, at Christmas, it was my mother's birthday. It was Christmas, and then their anniversary was New Year's Eve. So my dad and I used to go out and do Christmas shopping. That year, I was pregnant with my son, Logan. And I knew I was having a boy. I knew. And my father insisted I was pregnant with a girl, and her name was going to be, I have no idea why, Jillian. I would never have called my daughter Jillian. Anyways, I remember him buying me at the time at the mall. There were these artisans who would create your name out of gold wire. So I have the pin with my name, Lorilei, all spelt out. And he pinned Jillian on. I mean, I didn't have much of a belly by then. I had just gotten pregnant in November, and it was like the end of December. My eldest son now has that pin because he loves that story. He was supposed to be Jillian, according to Papa. That's what my kids call him. Then, when I got pregnant with my second, my father-in-law, ex-father-in-law, is no longer alive. He insisted I was having a girl, and her name was going to be Emma. It's a cute name, Emma, but I would never have called a daughter Emma. And I kept insisting, no, it's a boy. It is a boy. And I knew this with both of them before, and they ended up being boys. So apparently, according to the grandfathers in my life at that time, I was supposed to have a Jillian and an Emma. I have no idea why, but so Michelle said, if your thought isn't in your head, how does the pendulum swing? If I have no thoughts, I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. I've never really tried that. I think that's a good question. So we'll just let it. You want me just to let it sit there? I think it just kind of hangs around. So I'm not asking it to do anything. This is a different one. Yes, not really do it. That's a good question, Michelle. You always think of these interesting questions. You got to remember my fan's blowing. If I turn it off, here, let's see what happens now. Okay. Yeah, it's just kind of hanging out. Usually, if I'm going to ask a pendulum something, I usually ask it a question. I don't usually use pendulums to help me with anything I have a vested interest in. Like, say, I'm trying to find something lost because I want to find it, right? So I know lots of people that use it. It's not been helpful for me. Oh, okay. So this is what I would do. Okay, can you please show me a yes? So for me, with this pendulum, that's a yes. And I'd say, thank you. Then I'd say, can you show me a no? Sorry, I moved my hand. Let me start again. It's hard to hold it up in the air. Usually I steady my hand or my elbow on something. Can you show me a no, please? That's my no, I guess. It's not moving. Um, Sometimes, depending on how you use a pendulum, you can ask a maybe. And a maybe for me would just be, I'm not meant to know, or it's not been decided. So I'll ask it to show me a maybe. Back and forth is a maybe. Thank you. You can also write it down. Yes, maybe, and no. And then you could, to test it, say you wanted to know if it was a yes or no, you could ask your pendulum, is the sky purple? It should go to a no. If it goes to a yes, then you may have to turn your paper around. Like I say, there's a whole bunch of stuff involved with it. So, but you ask good questions. So, Debbie Schmoley's here. Hi, nice to see you. Oh, I liked when you made that pendulum mat years ago. Oh, are you? I'm trying to remember what when that one was, Debbie, because I've made grits and I'll have to remember what the mat is. Um, I thought you were going to say pendulums because I make pendulums with resin too. Oh, no, no problem, Michelle. I'm glad you asked. I have a Mickey. They're downstairs. I didn't know we were going to talk about pendulums. So I have one I've made so far. It looks like Mickey Mouse. It's got red on the bottom, and then the tip is black, and the rest is clear. And then I have really cute little teeny tiny cutouts of our little Mickey Mouse silhouettes in silver. I have one that's a cat pendulum. I have a little tiny little kitten inside the pendulum. So I do make them. Oh, I could do that in 2 seconds. Okay, yeah, hang on. I'll make one of those right now. Oh, that's the one you're talking about. So pen. Okay, give me a sec. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about so you guys can see. So a simple pendulum thing you can use. You don't have to have a mat. You can just do what I showed you. Show me yes, show me no. Maybe. So we'll do yes, maybe. My handwriting is really awful. Okay, this is going to probably be backwards, but I don't know if you guys can see that. I can't see it very well. It does say yes, no, and maybe. So you could hold your pendulum over top. Yeah, I'll show you the alphabet in just a second. Yep, this is paper. So no is on the right and yes is on the left. So if I could ask it, I could just ask it to show me yes. Or I could say, asking it a question, is the sky orange? I won't move it, but just so you can see, no is on the right. I'm trying to see how it shows on there. It might be opposite with the camera, but it is going to no. I would say thank you. And you could do it that way. Like I said, a maybe. Or the other thing you can do, excuse me, again, don't just whip out a pendulum and start playing with it because there's, it's any type of tool that you're getting answers from is divination, including, and I know some people are going to go, Ouija boards are evil. You should have someone show you how to use it properly, but this is no different than what I'm about to show you. It's a divination tool. So hang on, I'll do it very quickly. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. I usually run out of room. Q, R, S, T, U, V, W. I'll move this A over. Sorry, guys. Hang on. V, W, X. I ran out of room because I did this quickly. Normally it'd be spaced out better. But you can do the alphabet in a circle. Sorry, darn camera's backwards. So it's hard to, oh, it keeps swinging on me. So you can do it that way and put the pendulum in the middle and get it to spell things out. I have no idea. How does a pendulum move? It moves through energy. And what a pendulum does, and I know you're familiar because we've had a conversation, Kasoon, about this. It's energy manipulation. I tend to believe that if I'm working with a pendulum asking questions, because I set it up that way, sorry, I almost dropped it, is that I'm working with my guides when I'm doing it to work with me and help me with the answer. Okay, that's why I said you just don't grab a pendulum, whip it out, and start working with it. I would do some reading about it so that you know how to start it, how you know how to close it, protect your energy space. And we're not coming from a place of fear, but if you will, just as you would with people, you have boundaries, right? Who's allowed to come through, who's not, who you're going to be communicating with. But like when I first started the show and showed you guys with energy, this is just, I'm setting the intention that I am manipulating the pendulum. When I'm asking it to go back and forth, and I'm asking it to stop, and then I'm asking it to go in a clockwise circle. I'm trying not to move my hand. Sorry, guys. Here, I'll try and take the comment off because I just realized that's what's in the way here. Hang on. So we can do those kind of things. Oh, hi. Hang on. I got to highlight that comment there. Got lots of people here tonight. So my brain just went completely blank. I feel like an idiot. And this is a friend of mine. She has a show on our network. You're going to have to put all the details in for me. My brain just went completely blank on me. Small business development, Ontario assistant. I have to look this up. My brain is not working. It's in pendulant mode. Hang on. I will find this for you. Debbie's laughing at me. My brain's not working. Thank you, Adriana. How embarrassing. And I know Adriana. She's a friend of mine. Like, do you not feel like an idiot? Yes, and I know the name of your show. I was not in that mode. Negotiating Happiness. You guys check it out. Amazing show on Monday afternoons. You can put the time into. I feel like an idiot. You know what? I'm so good at names and stuff. And there's no one you just to go, oh my God, I don't see her name on the screen. What's her name? What's her name? And you're like, it's stressing and your mind just goes, so, oh my gosh, she says it's fine. I love you. I love you too. 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys check her show out. Mondays. It is amazing. Adriana, I give you so much credit because you would not believe the amount of people that have commented lately because I have a scheduling calendar now for my show and I never did. And it's because of Adriana. I had her on my show, or she had me on her show, and I saw that she had a calendar, and I went, "Oh my God, why have I not ever thought of this before?" So thank you. And you were laughing at what Michelle wrote, Debbie. Oh, Nicole says I forget names all the time. I don't. I was literally just saying to my partner the other day, because he really can't. He can't remember people's names or their faces ever, 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 ever. And I thought, little bit of karma, right? I just said that to him. I forget a friend of mine's name. And Adriana says, I'm so happy. You guys check out her business too. Her show's awesome. She offers all kinds of, I know it's geared a little bit more, not all, but a little bit more to spiritual. And she's a young mom. So they talk about mom stuff and what have you. But this is business stuff that you guys could use in any business. So check it out. She talks about way more stuff, but it's an awesome show. Kathy Hanley, I've been having senior moments all day. Okay, let's call it that. I'm having a senior moment. No, I was in pendulum mode and I was talking. I seen you pop in there, and all of a sudden my head just went, oh my God, how can I not remember? That would be like me not remembering Carrie Lynn's name. Like, that's how much I love Adriana, like Carrie Lynn. And my head just went blank. Anyways, Kasoon, so did that answer your question when you asked about a pendulum? Because, and like Adriana said, not everyone should be using a pendulum, and you shouldn't be. Like I said, it's like anything. It's kind of funny. I always love the way spirit works. And before I do a show, I always say to spirit, okay, where are we going with this? Whether we're having a guest or not. And it kind of started with your question, Nicole, that your hubby had asked you when you were watching that episode about demonic infestation that I had posted. It was actually posted. I forgot to mention that we have a group for the thing at the foot of the bed because we show a lot of different clips. And because 80% of the listening audience globally is audio only, it's a place for them to come and find the link. So we're almost at 100 people. I believe we started it just over a month ago. Hang on, I'm going to grab a drink. When we are at 200 people, David and I are going to start going live in there from time to time, answering one question readings for free, doing things like that. So the name of the group is on Facebook. It's a thing at the foot of the bed. Excuse me. So that's where I posted Paranormal Nightmares show from last Friday. And it was an update on a demonic infestation case for people just joining us. I also posted it in my Paranormal University group, and I think on my profile. And Nicole had, her hubby had seen, for those of you just joining us, her hubby had just seen, the team go in there. And it's a good question, I think. He had asked Nicole, why don't they just go in there and blast the house and be done with it, basically? And Nicole had shared that she wasn't quite sure how to answer that. So we talked about that. And it was kind of like, it doesn't matter what you do in life, right? Going in there, being objective, open-minded, clean slate if you can, and see what kind of information and knowledge you can gather through assessment. So that's kind of what it is. Same thing with a pendulum. It looks like a cool tool. It looks like all cool. And there's things, you can use your body as a pendulum. I don't know if you guys know that. So say you know how to use a pendulum. I've got a whole bunch. I've got, like, how many have I pulled out of here? This is my crystal Reiki box. I've got sound healing stuff, and I've got a lot of my tools here right beside me. But like, this is just a few of the pendulums I have, and I use different ones for different things. But I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to be at a grocery store whipping out a pendulum going, what brand of fruit is best for me here? Right? Yes, a couple people might look at you like you're a weirdo. So you can use your body as a pendulum. I threw you off my business phase with my business page. That's what it was, Adriana. Like, I just went complete. I'm going, oh my God. And I'm beating myself in my brain going, oh my God, I just went blank. I don't usually do that. Okay, so back to comments here. Kasoon says, I have a hard time remembering names too. Then again, my long-term memory is poor. Would it be me? Well, could be long-term, could be short-term, depending on how long you know someone. I am very good at names usually and faces. I can't tell you how many times, like I said, I was saying to my partner the other day, and I wasn't being mean. We were having a conversation, and I think it was somebody that walked by or something, and he didn't know who it was. And I told them their name, and it's not a close friend, but it's somebody we would see walking by often. And I said to him, that's the one thing you're not really good at, is remembering people's names and faces. And he's not. We could be out, and I'll say to him, oh, isn't that your friend so-and-so? And he'll look at me, and then he'll look and go, oh, yeah, I guess it is. Or without fail. And now I know well enough after being with him for almost 15 years that if we're out, he's not always the best at introducing me anyways, because he knows I have no problem talking to people. He doesn't have to hold my hand. But I usually know now, if he doesn't introduce me to someone, he can't remember their name. That's why. So Mish says, I use my body for light and heavy. Well, you can, whatever works for you, but using your body as a pendulum, you can actually just stand there and ask it to show you what yes is. and your body it'll lean to one side or the other. It may lean forward, it may lean back. You can ask it to show you no. Maybe your body just won't move. There's all kinds of cool things you can do, and it's energy. We were supposed to be showing you guys this spooky video, but as you guys know, these shows are very audience participative, so we go where you guys want to go. But I should remember to do this. See, I get busy talking. So if you're just tuning in, you are listening to the Angel Rock on UFO, Paranormal, and United Public Radio Network, or as we like to call it, just UPRN. And you can listen to us on 105.3 and 107.7 out of the beautiful city of New Orleans. And I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin. There, I remember that. So, Kassoon, tuning fork sound is great for meditation. It can be. I was just thinking, and I forgot all about it. I have the most beautiful singing bowl up in my closet in my little small craft room. I got to pull out. I haven't used it in forever. It's so beautiful. And if you really want to know, I'm a little bit afraid to use it because I don't want my cat to jump and knock it or something. This is one thing I have not learned how to use yet. But for example, I have a tea leaf reading cup that is almost practically brand new because I pulled it out of the closet up there. That's what reminded me about the singing bowl. Look at how big the book is, though. So I'm going to have to go through it one day and read it. But the cup is beautiful. So here, I'll have to turn the light off on there. So the symbols are inside, and it will help you probably interpret it. It'll tell you exactly how to do it. There's many different ways that you can communicate and get answers. So Michelle says, I've seen it used by someone in a store, and that was one of the first times I've seen a pendulum being used. I was intrigued immediately. You know how I got turned on to pendulums? And I always say, what do tattoos and angel cards have to do with each other? Nothing. But that's how I got tuned into angel cards. I was going for my first tattoo, and I'm going to be 59 in August. I can't believe I'm saying that, but age is just a number. I was turning 40 and I wanted to get my first tattoo. So my kids were really little then. And I went to one of the local tattoo shops here. Excuse me. And I was going to book my tattoo, and the lady that is now a good friend, but she had said when we walked in, she goes, "Oh, you have two very special children." And I said, "Well, thank you, but all children are special." She goes, No, I get that, but your children are very special." She said, "Do you mind if I do something with them?" I said, "Well, as long as you're not going to hurt them." She goes, "No, I'm not going to hurt them." So she took, which I now know what they are. They're called mochi balls, and they're energy balls. I still don't know what she was doing with them. She was clinking them all over, moving these two crystals all over. I was talking about you, Julie Jean Bassett. I'll get to you in just a sec. She says hi to everyone. And then she did it with both of my sons, and she kept saying, oh, this is interesting. Wow. And then she turned and she looked at me and she says, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean? What do I do?" She goes, "I'm picking up that you do something." And I said, "Well, I am a nurse. I've hurt my back and I can't go back to work." She goes, No, something completely different from that. She says, "Is there anything you're really drawn to?" And I said, "I don't know. I've always kind of loved angels and unicorns and mythical things like that." She goes, "Hang on a sec." And she runs in the back and she grabs a box and she comes back and she hands it to me. And she goes, "Here." I said, "What am I supposed to do with this?" She says, "You'll know." And I said, "When do you want it back?" And she says, "You'll know." And then my eldest son, looks up and goes, "What are those?" They were hanging on the wall. And she goes, "Oh, that's a pendulum." And I said, "A pendulum?" And he says, "Yeah, a pendulum." And he wasn't very old. And I said, "Well, what are they? Like, what are they used for?" And she showed me and she told me about it. And that was kind of the stepping stone into all of this, if you will. The experiences with the extreme paranormal kicked the door open. But now that I look back, I have had this around me my whole life. I just didn't know it had a label. I'm a young chick. Kathy Hanley Little, you're so sweet. And Julie says, "I love my pendulum." So Julie Jean, you should delete your last comment. Why? Kassoon, what did you say? About, oh, Lorilei. So you know you can put a comment like that. So Kasoon said, I won't read it because I don't want to embarrass you. How about that, Kasoon? But there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, I won't read it. You don't have to delete it. Don't worry. There's nothing. I think it's funny. Anyways, and Adriana, what did you say? I missed that. Wait, it went right by me. Um, I got to go back. I just saw it and it went right by me. Hang on, Adriana. I'm going to find it. Oh, beautiful cup. My great grandma used to read coffee cups. Cool. Because I want to go to Kevin's comment, Julie, because we were talking nicely, of course, always about everybody, but about you. But I'm going to read Michelle Plummer's comment. She says, I've seen it used by someone in this. Oh, that was about the pendulum. Sorry. Hang on. There was something else I saw here. I know, Nicole, you asked a question. So, Julie, remind me if I forget. But Kevin was talking about animal totems and all that, and boring the energy of the wolf, even though it's not one of his totems. And I said, Julie Jean Bassett's usually here. I already gave you a huge shout out. And I said, if she pops in, we'll ask her more about it. But I'm going to read Nicole's comment and then we'll go back to our question. I can still read. You want me to read it? Okay, I'll read it. I don't want to embarrass you, Kasoon. Okay, I'm putting it up on the screen. Kasoon, he said, Lorilai's partner is a human ice cream. And he said, sorry. As I said, you don't have to delete it. It was funny. So Nicole says, another question. As a child, I was very intuitive, which means you still are. It's kind of like riding a bike. So you talked to animals, astral traveled, and saw ghosts. I grew up and forgot how to do this. Now I'm wondering, do I really need to take classes and relearn, or just be open to spirit, protect myself, and just go for it? Well, there's two answers to that. If you sit quietly and you ask yourself that, what feels better to you? And you also have to look at what kind of person you are. Are you better suited to sit in a class with like-minded people, whether that's online or in person, and you can share experiences and learn from one another? Or do you feel that you could be dedicated enough to sit down and basically relearn how to hop back on that bike, if you will, the proverbial bike? Because it's still there. You don't lose it, right? It's just whatever feels right for you. Or sometimes there's a mix of both. Sometimes one class may reopen that door for you, if you will, or help you get back on the bike. And once you get the momentum going, it's kind of like everything else starts to kick in. So you never trust yourself, he said, and you second guess everything. So do you think, I know you, Nicole. So if you had asked me, and you guys know I never push that you guys should just learn from one mentor. I always say I think the biggest gift you can give yourself is to learn from many different mentors. So if you were asking me, Nicole, I would say maybe try a class that's within your budget, because you get, like, just even this, like, look at how good this feels. We're all sitting together, we're sharing our experiences, different techniques and things that we've done, or experiences, like I just said, and it feels good, right? And then we can learn from one another. Or if you're, say, the person is more of a solo person, or like you said, you second guess yourself, this will help you build your confidence, right? Working with others, working with people at the same level as yourself. The one thing, and this is coming from spirit, and this doesn't have to do just with this work, it has to do with anything. Please always remember, the only person you need to compare yourself to is yourself. And the only goal is to possibly be better than the day before. And if you can't, that's okay. The effort counts. Because I can't tell you how many classes I've been in, or people that I've taught and mentored, especially when it's in a group. Invariably, there will be at least one person who will say, I don't see anything, I don't feel anything, I'm not experiencing anything. And then they will share. If it's not in the group, it'll be afterwards. I don't think I'm meant to be here. I don't think I have any gifts. I'm in the wrong place. That's not what it is. There's many different reasons why people experience things at different times and different levels and what have you. So now, Julie, yes, she goes, often we are told it's just our imagination and shut it off. Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that earlier, but you were absolutely right, Julie. And that's the first thing we think, right? Now, I still sometimes catch myself saying it's just a coincidence. And then I realize, and I know this, there are no coincidences. And when I'm working and teaching with, or mentoring people, I will say to them, what would happen if you just wipe that phrase out of your mind for, if you can't go with a whole day, maybe half a day? Maybe people that are listening to that inner voice that they hear, we all have an inner voice. We do. Say you heard that inner voice and you followed the advice, as long as it's meant with love and it's not calling you names, or, we're our own worst enemy. That inner voice sometimes that comes from ego or what we think runs the show, right? The brain. That's not what runs the show. Our higher self, our subconscious is always on, is what really runs the show. So what would happen if you were willing to even give it an hour? Say you're faced with a dilemma or something, and there's a really loving, maybe meant for the best outcome kind of suggestion that pops into your head. And you either think, oh, that was just coincidence, that couldn't work, or am I going crazy? Like, there's no way, whatever. What if you followed it? Just gave yourself permission to be open to it and see what happens. A lot of people are surprised. And usually when I'm teaching and mentoring people, is we start with simple things that you start to feel into. And then when you get it correct, that I call that evidential proof. And we can all do this. We all can. Because think about the little ones. And if you don't believe me, just look it up. How many little kids can see spirit or imaginary, for people listening and making quotation marks? I don't believe there is anything such as an imaginary friend. I truly believe very young children can see spirit, which means we were all young children once. We could see them too. And right, Julie, just what I said. Julie says, I believe everyone can communicate with animals. So do I. Kathy says, always go with your first intuition. Yes. And Julie says, practice with other animals. I don't know if you were here yet, Julie. We were talking about crows, and I was sharing my first experience about when the paranormal started in my previous home, and about the crow that had been promised by the demon. And by the way, I did find out everything I'd been told in that dream 16, 17 years ago. I couldn't find anything on this name I had been given in the dream and the spelling. And I was helping somebody else a few years later, not in a professional capacity, as an acquaintance. And there I found the name I had been given, the exact spelling I had been given, the animal form, which was a crow. It was all there, black and white. I just about fell off my chair. That's what I would call evidential proof. Here I get something in a dream. I was raised Roman Catholic my whole life, forced to go to church, forced to go to Catholic school. Now, the name I was given wasn't complicated, but I'd never heard this name. Never. And so for me to find it on paper, and everything I'd been told in this dream is then on paper. But somebody, Julie, had asked, basically kind of, what do I feel about crows now? So that's where I was going with, I love the way spirit works, and it connects right from the beginning of the question we have to this whole theme of this show of, right? Like, I went in with an open slate about any crows, and I was talking about how much I love animals. And then I was talking about, somebody had mentioned that crows were making a lot more noise than they usually do in their area. So I said, what happens if you sat outside quietly, cleared your mind, always ask permission, ask them if they'd be willing to talk to you, go with what you hear, either a yes or a no. And if they say yes, thank them, and then ask them, is there any reason maybe why you're speaking more, making more noise, whatever it is? So I don't think we're here yet. So the rest of Julie's comment is, practice with other animals rather than your own pets. I agree 100%. Sometimes it's hard to tell what's yours and theirs because their energies are so intermeshed with our own, right? Pets are family. Even I find with healing energy or work, and again, I've been really looking at the fact is it may be something I've perceived and believed and it's become my reality, but I do find it harder to do healing work on myself versus somebody that I'm working with from a client perspective or whatever. And I know what that reason is, because to do inner healing work, I think you have to have courage and you have to be willing to step forward and be honest about what the problem may be versus working with an independent practitioner, if you will. So Julie's a healer and I'm a healer. So I've been to Julie for healing and we do that. And I have no problem with saying that, because for me to face some of those things, I don't know if I would have had the courage or even have been able to face it versus having somebody to work with to do that. And I don't think there's any shame in saying that. And I think that's the same as with your animals. Kassoon says, when I was young, I pretended to myself that you were Fox Mulder and tried to act like him and wear clothing like him. That's so cool. Yeah, but look at where your interests lie now, right? You love, the paranormal in the way of UFOs and ET and stuff like that. So nothing wrong with that. And Kathy Hanley Little says, we all have the gift. We just need to tune into it. I agree 100%. And now again, I don't have all the answers, but if it's true that as little ones, and I'm talking little ones, that we still can see and connect and hear and speak with spirit, even if we might not even have verbal words yet. We were all little ones, which means it's somewhere way back in the back of our brains, somewhere, that it's kind of like jumping onto that proverbial bike. And it's just whatever works best for ourselves. You guys always ask the best questions. You always make the best comments. I always say that this show would never be what it is, nor Thursday night show, without all of you. I'm serious. And I will tell you, this is the honest to goodness truth. Hang on. Excuse me, gotta grab a drink. I tell each and every one of my guests, either just before we go live or say I see somebody on a podcast that I might want to have on. We're having somebody like that. I think she's coming on in June, part of a family member of a pretty big true crime case. But we're not really going to talk about the true crime so much. We're going to talk about what she's done with her life and the incredible transition she's made out of a staunch religion and what she does now in the spiritual field. She's really inspiring. I know you guys are going to love her. Anyways, I'm getting off track here. So Julie just came on recently. I was talking about you, Julie. So Mish says, drop dead, Fred. LOL, sticks finger up nose and wipes it on everyone. Okay. And then Kassoon says, an imaginary friend can be thought created energy too, right? A tulpa? I guess anything's possible. But as a small child, and just from knowing a little bit about child psychology, with having been, being a nurse, we usually see imaginary friends about the time of, depending on how verbal a child is, anywhere from about 2.5 to about 3.5 till just maybe around the time they start to go to preschool, around 4. Because usually what happens, and the child still may see the so-called imaginary friend, it just starts to not become so socially acceptable as they become older. So an imaginary friend, a tulpa, is usually a collective energy, and it's usually collective, meaning it's not just one person. It could be, depending on, I guess, how much energy you put into it. But it's usually like, let's take the New Jersey Devil, for example, right? How many people talk about it? I've never been to New Jersey. As I understand, there's a lot of memorabilia. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just one person, it's a collective talking about it, thinking about it. We're talking about it right now. So that's more or less, I think, where tulpa may come from. If you guys have different thoughts, please share them. So an imaginary friend, I'm not saying that a child wouldn't be capable of it, but at that age developmentally, I think children the reason, well, I got an answer from Spirit. The reason why animals and young children can see spirits so easily, and I was about to go into this big long answer a couple months ago, and I heard from Spirit. The simple answer is because nobody's told them they can't. And it's true, right? A child's work is play, and children and animals live in the now. They don't worry about tomorrow. They don't worry about the future, right? They just live in joy and in the now. So, with that being said, I think what they see is what it is versus imagining and focusing on it and creating so much energy with the detail that it creates. Their thoughts create an energy form, which is a tulpa. Does that make sense, Kasu? And I could be wrong. Maybe people have got other thoughts. But to me, a child at that age just isn't that complicated. Now, I'm not saying it could never happen, but at that age, I think what they see is what's really there. So, yeah, somebody had said that, Julie, that crows were messengers. So, Julie's saying she feels crows are messengers from spirit. And Kathy Hanley Little said, it's their mating season now, crows. I do love crows. You know what would thrill me? I would never ever take an animal from the wild. And believe me, in our old home, the crows, if the babies didn't go out soon enough, the parents would push them out of the nest, hoping they'd start flying. And I remember one little one we had, he got pushed out and his wing got broken, and the parents were dive bombing us. But my boys love animals as much as I do. So I forget what we did, how to protect ourselves, but we went and made sure he was safe and he was warm, so no animal predators could get him. And we looked after many a little mouse that was, the winter was coming and he was injured, and we've done stuff like that. So Julie also added about energy healing. Yes, it's hard to do energy healing on ourselves. And I think that's and I could be wrong, but I really do believe that when we look at ourselves and we know we need healing, inner healing, and I think all of us could use it at some point, even if it's looking back at some of the more traumatic things we've gone through in life, the older we get. I think it takes courage, and I think it takes honesty and the willingness to be open to look at that sometimes we play a part in this as well. And we're willing to let it go or heal it or do whatever we need to do to make mind, body, spirit more whole. And Julie Jean Bassett says she agrees with Kathy. Okay. By the way, Lorilei is the only, I'm not sure what you meant by that. He says the D-O, Kasoon said Lorilei is the only D-O-W-N-T, I'm not sure. Oh, down to earth medium, I know. Thank you, Kasoon, you're so sweet. Julie said absolutely. Okay, so Graham Phillips has great stories about tulpas. I'm going to have to write these names down. Kathy, you said Wayne, I think you said Mallows. I'm going to write that down. That was for vampires. We were going to start with vampires, and we didn't. We got about 15 minutes because I do want to show you this. Well, maybe since we're talking about little kids, maybe I'll show you the little kid thing. And then Graham Phillips. Well, I know you'll send me that name if I miss it. You guys, anyways. Okay, Phillips. That's tulpas. Okay. Contessa Martin said, I believe that children don't know if I'm not sure what you meant, the last part, but then Contessa said, I believe that all children can see things until they are told that is not real. Yes, I agree with you too. Absolutely, I do. Let me pop into Instagram. We got Jackson. Oh, Tammy Rivera's James. If you're still there, I apologize. We're not ignoring you. Just it doesn't show up on my main chat. So we'd love to have you join us over on YouTube. You can go to UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio or the Angel Rock of Lorilei Potvin, and then we could see your comments or if you want to join the discussion. So let me see this. Oh, what's going on here? This is intriguing. My screen, you guys, has gone kind of, I was wondering, my little buttons here. Let me see if I can see them. I might have to make the screen smaller. Oh, good. Thank goodness that worked. All my buttons were missing. My screen all of a sudden went really big, and I was going, why does my screen look like it's off? Okay, hang on. We're going to hit present. Hopefully I can find this video, you guys. Okay, we want YouTube. This is the one I was going to start with. Let me see if I can find it. I got to find Bizarre Bub, and I got to give Shannon, who's usually comes on Thursdays. She told me about this channel because I always talk about Nuke's Top 5. Okay, Bizarre Bub. Here it is. Hang on, guys. We'll find it. Because this little guy looks like he's being pulled out of his bed. And the other one I was going to, well, actually, we'll see if we got enough time for both. But I'm going to show you the first one. This guy, quiet, please. We'll have to mute it for now so I can get to it. Hello. Okay, mute. Good. Okay, let's add it. So this first guy is, oh, it's already up there. Good. He was getting complaints. Let me see. Why do they always have to play these darn ads? I know why, but hang on. Okay, skip. No, thank you. I don't want music right now. Okay, this guy, this is a spirit. This is this month's or this week's most recent episode of Bizarre Bob from, I think it's a day or two. Oh, this is the one. I thought it was right. Okay, let me see if I can get it to go right to the second one. Okay, that's about it. Okay, good. Let's see. I'll make
The facility is well known for being creepy, but it's the contents of this unit that's by far the creepiest. Among all things inside is a toy monkey that the father knows is worth a lot of money. Although initially not wanting to sell the doll, he now hopes that someone would buy it off his hands as soon as possible. Ever since having it, the stuff inside his unit would move on their own. Now, noise complaints often be Jammies, who accuse the man of living in his storage, but after setting up a camera to show that it's the sound, he captures this.
I was trying. Oh, sorry.
Who accuse the man of living in his storage, but after setting up a camera to show that it's the stuff inside being thrown around, he captures this. Like something straight out of a horror movie, the toy doll moves on its own. The staff working at the storage facility were just as spooked as the man who owns this unit. He believes that this is the culprit behind the strange noises employees heard. While there has yet to be a prospective buyer for this doll, the man continues to document the monkey on the off chance that something else is caught on camera. But currently, nothing else has happened.
So what did y'all think of that? That's the one I was going to start with. Yes, Kassoon says, yes, YouTube is riddled with ads lately. So what do you think? Do you think that was fake? Because I wasn't sure. But how the story started, just a little bit cut off, is he had a storage unit, and then I guess there was all kinds of noises coming from the storage unit. I wasn't sure if that part played or not, but he was getting blamed that people thought he was, like the employees thought he was living in the storage unit. So that's why he put the camera in there. And we know we've heard of haunted dolls before. That's why I started with the vampires, because I was going to show you. We've been told vampires, it's not possible. Dolls, holy cow, the things that can happen with dolls. And there's many that are famous that are locked under ward and blessings and sigils and symbols and what have you. That is one creepy doll. I'm going to see if I can try and show you guys quickly the little guy. There's not much to it, but it's kind of interesting about, no, this one's, it's really creepy, but you don't get to see anything. This little girl sees something on the camera. Oh, this is the one. Hang on, I'll see if I can go through it. Okay, we'll go to here and see what happens. It's number 5.
In the following video, a small child is seen roaming around in their bedroom after waking from a nap. It's 7 p.m., and the child typically doesn't wake up around this time. Usually, according to the mother, they're dead asleep until the next morning. But for some reason, they have woken up. Although it may seem like this was just a normal occurrence, something happens later in this footage, reassuring the mother that this incident was definitely strange. The child can only babble, making it impossible for him to recount his experience.
little guy's legs. So it says he looks like his legs get pulled when he's pulled up in a ball. So keep watching those legs. I'm going to replay it.
It's only been 4 months since the family had settled into this house, and this happens. A voice, which definitely wasn't the child's, is heard on camera. Mind you that he can't speak yet, as his speech is only limited to babbling. Yet strangely, a voice is heard in this room. As the mother states, it almost sounds like a little girl speaking to his son. Freaked out, she shares this video in case anyone could explain it. This incident, coupled with the footage of her son's legs being seemingly pulled off the bed, has led viewers to believe that something supernatural had occurred. But like always, I'll let you be the judge. Is this evidence of a ghost caught on camera, or is it something else entirely?
So what'd you guys think of that one? Pretty creepy, eh? Speaking of little ones, this video was interesting that we were talking. My cat's with me, by the way. Sorry. It's interesting. You're talking about little ones because this video is actually full of quite a few episodes of little ones. I think there's 3 clips in here of little guys that you don't always get to see what they're seeing, but they're definitely seeing something. And that little one, it may be hard to see on the camera, but he was all curled up in a ball. Never mind, it sounds like a little girl is speaking because this little guy is not big enough to speak. So Kasoon said, I've seen a child standing on her crib fence at night. She was being held by a spirit. It looked like. You don't know if it's real. Thank you, Kevin. You said sweet kitty. You guys, we are out of time. This always goes by so quick. I love doing shows on my own with you guys because we always have the most intriguing conversations. Adriana, I have to give her a big I love you. She set me off with her screen name. Adriana, you want to check her out 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays for Negotiating Happiness. Check out Julie Jean Bassett. She's an incredible animal communicator and teacher, as well as shamanic healer. And is there anybody else? Don't forget Carrie Lynn Shellhorn tomorrow. And I'm going to be back on Thursday with The Thing at the Foot of the Bed with David Hansel, my co-host, from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to be back next Monday, even though it's Easter Monday here in North America. Now, if you guys are liking what you're seeing, though, please don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for good friends of mine, the Syracusas, Philip and Julia Syracusa with the Horsefly Chronicles. And next Monday on the Angel Rock, you guys may not remember, it's been a couple months. They're close friends of mine. I think we did it New Year's Day. Debbie A. Anderson and Leanne Clark. We're calling it the Three Amigas because Debbie's in Mexico and you guys were begging for them to come back. So they're going to be back next Monday. So we're going to have lots of fun with them. And Julie Evans says, you're such an interesting person. Thank you. Well, thank you. And thank you, Kevin, for reminding me. Yeah, guys, don't forget, I'm going to be on a panel tomorrow night, guest panel. We're going to be talking about angels with Broadcast Team Alpha, with Augie Nost and Nori Love. I don't know anybody on the panel, but we're going to be talking about the power of angels, angelic experiences, and the whole bit. It's going to be super interesting. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Easiest and fastest way, I think, to watch them would be on YouTube under Broadcast Team Alpha. I'll be sharing it at least on Facebook for sure. I'll try and share it everywhere else too. And you can find the link. But yeah, make sure to join me with that. It's going to be lots of fun. I love y'all so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. So I'll be on tomorrow night and then Thursday night, David and I will be back here. Okay. Stay tuned for Julia and Phil, everybody. We'll see you Tuesday on a guest spot, but definitely here Thursday for sure at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks, everybody. You guys always make this show so awesome. I love y'all.